Alright guys, so our very last topic for our very last lesson. We're looking at completing the square, and I took the liberty of making it a rational number only, so you don't have to worry about your answers being really weird. So we're doing that completing the square thing. What completing the square is it's a different way to solve polynomials. Could I solve this polynomial in U? Yeah. We could take and do the normal, x squared minus 2x minus 80 equals 0, and we could start laying one of these out. This is my preferred style, which is why it's been what I'm teaching till now. But there's another method called completing the square, and I thought you guys should at least see it. Completing the square goes completely differently than this. So I've been asked by a couple of you during the drop-in tutoring sessions, do you always make it equal to 0? Me? Yeah, I do. It's just not how I prefer to handle it. But that's not what you always need to do. There are other options. So we can take just this chunk and work with it. So to have just that, I want to get rid of this 80. The way I get it out of the way is I toss it on the other side. So I'm going to throw it to the other side. So I will have x squared minus 2x equals 80. Now I want a number to go here. I want some kind of a number that will go in these parentheses. The way I make this number, and this is why I'm not a huge fan of completing the square, it seems kind of random. So normally, this kind of thing is referred to as ax squared. So you'd have like a, our coefficient, which in this case is 1. X squared minus or plus, bx plus c. And we don't have a c right now. This is the third term that we want. But we're going to use the b. What they want us to do is take b, the middle number, put it over 2, whatever we take, get that, square it, and that will equal c. That's an option we can use, and that's what we're going to try. So I want to make a number to go in this parenthesis. I'm going to take the middle number, -2, divide it by 2. That equals a -1. Now, all along, I was supposed to be squaring this. Well, a -1 squared is going to be a 1. So I have that -1 squared is 1. Okay. I can't just randomly take and throw a 1 into the equation. I can't, as much as I'd like to, just put a 1 right here. I can add something to both sides. So I can add 1 to both sides. That will give me a c here, or a just plain old number. So x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals 81. All right, so now I factored this like normal, except it's going to equal 81. Okay, I can work with this. Well, x, I need two numbers that, when multiplied, make a positive 1. And when added, equal a -2. Well, a negative times a negative is a positive. 1 times 1 is 1. So -1 times -1 is a positive 1. And -1 plus -1 is -2. So there we go. And yes, when you're doing completing the square, we're saying square because you may have noticed in the past when we have x minus 1 squared, x squared, that it's really the same thing twice. So we're completing the square so we can do this next step. I want to combine these two and make it x minus 1 squared so that I can take a square root to cancel that exponent and take a square root of the other side. So x minus 1 equals a positive or a -9. From here, I'm going to do the same thing we've done several times. X minus 1 equals a 9, and x minus 1 equals a negative 9. Add 1 to both sides in both these problems. X equals 10. And the other option for x is, well, negative 9 plus 1 is a negative 8. This strikes me as a little random. I'm not a huge fan of it because up here, when we started out in this problem, the way I taught a lot of you to look at it in the first place is, okay guys, I have a negative here. That's that negative 80, which means I have a plus and a minus. I have that x squared there, which means I need an x in both these spots. This being negative told me my bigger number should be negative. So I wanted two numbers that multiplied to be 80, but when I subtracted them equaled 2. Well, okay, I would get, or when I subtracted them would be a negative 2. So I would get a negative 10, oops, not an 18, negative 10, and a positive 8, which if we solve this would have given us x equals the set 10 and negative 8. I find this a lot easier. I find it something I'm very used to, but I learned doing this and I did this mostly. Down here, we did the same work, we did different work and I had a 10 and a negative 8. If you like this better, cool. If you decide to game the system and you solve this activity by doing what you know, we can live with that. But try out completing the square. See what you think. Now, so my original answer is going to be 10, comma, negative 8. Submit. Beautiful. Look at that green check mark. So, new problem. X squared minus 8x plus 12. Like in my head, I'm already breaking this down. But we are going to mark through this completing the square. In my head, I'm already doing this because that's the way I find easiest. But we're going to complete the square instead. So I'm going to minus that 12 from both sides to get rid of it, which gives me that x squared minus 8x. I'm going to leave that blank because I'm trying to essentially make this spot equals a negative 12. I'm going to take this number, divide it by 2, and square. So I'm going to go, hey, what's negative 8 over 2 squared? Well, negative 8 divided by 2 is a negative 4. Negative 4 squared is a 16. So this is going to become an x squared, or sorry, not an x squared. I'm going to make this and go x minus 4 in both places. And that equals negative 12. This is, as we mentioned earlier, x minus 4. Oh, who caught the mistake I made? When I added the 16 here, should have added the 16 here. It's an easy mistake to make. Negative 12 plus 16 is going to be a 4. So, x minus 4 squared equals a positive 4. I want to get rid of that exponent, so I square root both sides, and I go x minus 4 equals a plus or minus 2. Scrolling down time. So x minus 4 equals 2. X minus 4 equals negative 2. Well, add 4 to both sides here. X equals 6. Add 4 to both sides here. And you'll get x equals 2. So my answer here is x is the set of 6 and 2. So 6, comma 2, Submit answer, yes. Like I, in the first place, went, hey, I have a -8 and I have a 12. I was looking at these in the first place, -8 and +12. I need two numbers that when added equal 8 and when multiplied equal 12. Well, 6 plus 2, 6 times 2, done. I had this solved in just a few moments. Completed the square, not my favorite way, but it can be made to work. So that's about that. Good luck, ladies and gents. Be well. Remember, we are here if you need us. That's me and Mr. Tibbetts. I'm not going insane when I say we. Email, call, drop in tutoring on Wednesdays. Be well.